Howdy boys, it's MPC and today we're going to be doing another themed garage tour. And this time, I'm sure you guys can tell by the title, is going to be yellow. I'm not too sure how everyone feels about yellow because I feel like it's a color that either looks really good or really ugly and there's not a whole lot of in between. But every single vehicle in this garage is beautiful because I'm kind of just sick of customizing, so have faith you guys won't be disappointed. Before we hop into things, make sure you guys drop a like if you enjoy. That would help this video get the attention that it deserves, and let's dive right in. First up is the Italy GTO in this, I guess, a little more of an oddball color, that being dew yellow. I think it's a really fragile color to use because it kind of looks a little like piss or vomit if you don't do it right, but I think it's also a really bright color. Definitely unique, so it kind of stands out, almost kind of like it's kind of like neon-ish in like how bright it is. So this is a dew yellow with a cream pearlescent on it, and we have blacked out hyperfreshes, and I went with sort of like a sleeker race build on the GTO. I wanted one that was a little more like street-like because I have a racing one with off-roads and it looks incredibly ugly. So this one is supposed to be dripped out with just dew yellow and black. The interior is also dew yellow, and I think it looks super good actually. This is probably one of my best customizations that I've done recently on the channel. I think so anyway. I don't know if everyone feels the same about dew yellow, but I am definitely an appreciator of the more outside the box colors, like being able to pull them off, so I think it looks great. Up next, we have a classic in the Turismo R. I haven't had this vehicle for a very long time, but they added some more customization options along with the Zentorno and maybe one other car that I can't remember right now, but the Turismo and the Zentorno for sure got updated customization. As you can see, there's a forged splitter right here. I went with forged skirts and spoiler as well. The Turismo has always been a really good looking car. It's just not really fast, so there's no point in like using it in racing or anything. Super outdated in terms of performance, but it does look great. It actually has very similar lights to the rear of the Italy GTO. And then those exhausts look so cool. Very aggressive looking, and I think the Turismo just has a very nice shape to it. It's kind of like triangular, being a lot slimmer in the front. Definitely an underrated vehicle. I feel like everyone loves the Turismo, but no one drives it anymore. For the colors, I went with a yellow with some sort of darker steel pearlescent so that the shine wasn't too much, because the white accenting livery kind of almost acts as like a shine. Like it looks really polished. And then for the secondary color, I went with a matte black, and I wanted to make sure that the matte black wasn't going to get glossed over by yellow because that doesn't really look good, so I went with a more neutral color, and that's why it's like silverish, bluish silver maybe. And then similar to the GTO, I had to go with the black hyperfreshes. They're just such good looking rims. I'm pretty proud of this one too. I think this looks great. They both just have like a lot of detail on them. Up next, we have the Cadred Carbonizere. This is our third Ferrari in a row. Okay, I guess Ferraris just look really good in yellow, but the Carbonizere has always been a really sleek looking vehicle. I'm sure you guys have seen them driving around and been like, that's a nice car, even if it's just like free mode off the street. I just went with the simple yellow pearlescent and then went with carbon cheetah rims with a yellow highlight on it, and it's super sleek looking. The vehicle doesn't have a whole lot of customization, but I think it's really underrated because it is a super sexy looking vehicle. Not a whole lot to it though because it's super old. It's kind of like the Furor GT. I would throw those two in like the same category, where they're just like really good looking old cheap cars, but like no one ever drives them, so they kind of just sit in the garage and look nice. Up next, we have the Karen Sultan Classic. This one is a very like JDM like vehicle. That's the kind of build I was going for with the shopping list, and I went with the drift bumper, I think, some extended skirts, and then an extended back bumper as well. And then I went with the, I don't want to call it like it's kind of like a two-tone. I went with the carbon trunk, and then the spoiler matches that as well, with the wing being carbon in the center. I think it looks really good from the back going together like that. Otherwise, it would be a little too overwhelming with the yellow since I didn't add a carbon roof. I did add a roof scoop though, and a vent in the front because I feel like it's very suiting of this car. It's almost got like this industrial look to it, a little more like aggressive, like this is a car that's going to put in work. So I thought it was fitting. It's not as like dainty. And then of course, you can never go wrong with endos on a JDM vehicle. So that's what we went with, and I think it looks great. I was really happy with how this one turned out because it was my first time ever customizing a Karen Sultan Classic. Up next, we have our sleeper being the Maxwell Asbo. This car is actually a piece of shit. Like it's so bad. It's front wheel drive, and front wheel drive cars in GTA are just actually terrible. It's incredibly slow. It just feels awful to drive. I did like the look of this car because it's very like, I don't know if 90s is like the right time frame, but I could imagine this in like the 90s and then like the early 2000s. I think it kind of falls into like something that would be seen on the road during that time. And I wanted to drip it out because it has that kind of customization. So we went with the tuner bumper, and then we slammed it, of course, and threw on some black exos. I think the exos are great rims for smaller vehicles, and this is very compact, as you can see. For the back, we threw in some huge speakers. And I actually really liked the look of when the fenders were blacked out, but I did just want to change it up for the sake of customization. However, the stock ones kind of being like black and outlining the car almost gives it like a mustache, and it was kind of cool looking, but this one does enhance the dainty look. And on it is a race yellow with just like an ice white pearlescent, super bright. Then of course on top we have, I don't know what that is. It's like a rack. I don't remember what these are called. I don't know what they're ever like used for, but I thought it suited the look of this car, so I wanted to throw it on. It's got a nice black and yellow two-tone, and I'm overall pretty proud of this customization. Closing us off on floor 1 is the Dubachi 770, very old vehicle. Came out as part of Finance and Felony, which is the update that added this garage and these tall CEO offices. But I think it's a really clean looking vehicle. I wish it had more customization because I think it's got such a beautiful base model with lots of room like to add more stuff. I think you could definitely touch the front, add like a bunch of different splitter options. The skirts, I did go with some kind of carbon skirt, but I don't know, none of them looked super good. Rockstar could have added some options that enhance the shape of its body a little more, because you guys can probably see that it gets really wide in the back and it looks so cool. It's got that nice hourglass shape, very slim in the middle. And then these rims are so nice. Aside from the fact that they're like chrome by default, so you can't do the stock wheel color glitch on them, they're really good looking. Like it's almost like a spider. I just love that the spokes are so clean and thin. It really is a beautiful looking car. I just wish there was more customization on it. But on it, I threw on a dew yellow because I think this car looks really good in green. I've had it in both blue and green before, and this was a really nice like in between. I don't know why, but like it reminds me a lot of Easter. I don't know if that's because of the dew yellow color, but it's definitely a lot more Eastery than like the GTO over there that's the same color. I think because it's so curvy, I guess it just reminds me of like an Easter egg or something. I don't have any better way of explaining that, but that's it for the first floor. If I had to pick some favorites, that's really difficult. I like all of these customizations. I think they look super cool. If I had to pick some favorites, I would probably go with the GTO. I think I did an astounding job on. The Maxwell Asbo I do think is kind of underrated, and I'm really digging it actually, because I've never even seen this vehicle before. I bought it for this video, so I guess those two, and then the runner-ups would probably be the Karen Sultan Classic and the Turismo. I think I did a really good job on them, although they're just like a little more of in a basic color scheme. Like I don't feel like I did something entirely unique. The forged and the accents I've kind of messed around with on the Torero, and then I took the Hyperfreshes like on that one. The GTO was my first time ever using Hyperfreshes, so that's why I'm especially proud of that one. But this one is just like, I know the Turismo is going to look good in yellow, but I'm still proud of the customization. I think it looks good nonetheless, but this is just if I had to pick favorites. Anyway, let's move on to floor 2. Starting us off in floor 2 is the Coquette D10, which is based on the new Corvette. Very cool looking vehicle. This one was the product of my customization battle against Harmnun, where we customized Coquette D10s, and his looks really good, but I kind of destroyed him in this customization battle. I don't think he did anything wrong. His was very clean looking. I just think I went for sort of like a tiger tooth build on it, and it looks immaculate. Like this is probably one of my sickest customizations I've ever done. If any of you guys have ever played CSGO, the tiger tooth is a skin that used to be worth a lot of money. I think it's still decently high right now, but it's so clean looking. It's just got this like orangish color, but a little more on the golden side, and then it's got black accents as well. So on here, I know this is supposed to be like a yellow garage tour, but this is a bright orange, which basically looks like a dark shade of yellow. And then on it we have like a yellow, race yellow pearlescent, I think. And then the livery adds these beautiful big black stripes, adds a lot of detail onto the car. But that's not where it ends, you know, it's not just those things. I added an aggressive looking front splitter because of course tigers are apex predators of the forest. And then I added canards on both the front and the back to sort of act as whiskers. I think the spoiler in the back almost acts as like little ears because they go up on either side. And then lastly, I added on cheetah carbonars with a bright orange highlight because cheetahs are also like orangish cats with black accents. So it kind of like fits the entire theme. I think it's a super good looking build. And I'm happy I got to keep it because I would have been really upset if I lost that customization battle, which I'll link in the description if you guys want to check that out. Up next, we have the classy Mamba, super classic vehicle. Looks absolutely amazing. And it's just such a sexy looking vehicle. It's so sleek. In GTA, unfortunately, it doesn't have a whole lot of customization. All you can really do is like the color. But I bought this car so many years ago and I just put a yellow on it with a race yellow pearlescent. It's something bright for sure. And I threw on these rims, which are, I want to say these are sports rims. I've never used these on any other car because I don't think they're that good looking by default, but they fit perfectly on this vehicle because it's like, it's simplistic, it's yellow, it's got a black interior, it's got some chrome that you can't change. And these rims are like black and like a little bit chrome. They kind of reflect a little bit, but it's not overbearing, it's not super bright. And it just looks so good on the Mamba. If you guys don't have a Mamba, I would go grab one of these because they're not the greatest vehicles to drive ever because they have hella wheel spin. They look so sexy and you're gonna feel really good about yourself driving them, and they're not that expensive. I killed it with this one. Up next, we have the Devastate with yet another yellow and black theme. I'm sure you guys can tell that it's a good color combo. There's not a whole lot else you can do with yellow aside from making it like pairing it with black, because otherwise it's like what, red, like you make it McDonald's looking. There's no yellow and red vehicles in this garage, sorry to ruin your vibe, but McDonald's color combos just don't look good in GTA, unfortunately. Funny I say that because the brake calipers are red, but at least it's hidden in the black. But anyway, on the vehicle we have a yellow with this black livery. I don't remember the name of it, but on the vehicle we have just the standard yellow. It's not bright orange or anything. You know, now that I'm looking at it, the Mamba might be bright orange as well, but this one is definitely yellow, and it's got this black livery on it. Very clean looking. It's almost like noble, like it kind of looks like a knight with this sort of livery on it, and it adds a nice two-tone as well. I went with black hyperfreshes, and then for the interior it's also yellow because I think it looks really nice. This is something Rockstar's been doing with newer vehicles, but they'll like half color the seats and leave part of it black, and I think it makes for really good accenting features that help match the exterior of the car, and it overall makes the car look so much better. And then for the back, I threw in this carbon spoiler that's a little jagged, added some more personality, I guess you could say, to the vehicle. I thought it was super ugly when I first got it, but I didn't know how to customize it well, but I took the time to like sit down and actually think of like a good way that this vehicle could look good, and I'm quite proud of this one now. If memory serves, this is like some hypercar from Dubai or something, but it's super cool, and I think this is it's a good adaptation and customization of this vehicle. Up next, we have another customization battle winner, that being the Trofeo Nero, which is based on the, oh my god, I'm gonna get flack for this one, the Bugatti Chiron? I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, I went with another sort of like two-tone because the Bugattis in this game just have beautiful color separation, because the rear always like wraps into the front, which is really cool. As you can see with the black here, that's the secondary color. It's just a metallic black. And then I went with a standard yellow, and then on this I went with an ice white pearlescent because it's so clean. It's very creamy looking. It's like a little sparkly, not too like deep, doesn't hurt your eyes or anything. I should mention that I did that with this as well. This one's got like a silver pearlescent so that the black doesn't get overshadowed by a yellow pearlescent. For the rims on the Nero, I went with black Segoys. And then I also decided to throw in a carbon hood because it's shaped so nicely. It fits perfectly onto the vent, connects to where the windshield widens out to, and it's like overall very nicely shaped. It's placed very well on this vehicle. Like it had intent in the design, you know. I think straight up carbon hoods are really, not all of them look as good as people would think, you know. So I think when they're placed with intent, they've got cool shape. Up next, we have the Emperor Vector. This sort of build I did feature in a customization battle actually. I thought it looked so good, but unfortunately I lost that one. This is just the one I had before then. I still think it's a really great looking vehicle, and I'm actually pretty disappointed I lost because I was so confident that this is like such a unique looking build. It's really feline looking, I guess. It's got a lot of like sharp edgy features in the splitter, in the iridescent lights right there. The light shape is, it's like lightning bolt shaped. There's literally a cat. It says Katana on it. Yep, some more animals in the back. I think the Vector is just such a cool vehicle. I'm a big fan of the way it looks. And I thought that dew yellow would look really good on it, so that's what I went for. It's got a dew yellow pearlescent as well. I didn't touch that one. The interior, I really wish it had the two-tone seats that I was talking about before, like this one, because they're all just dew yellow and it looks a little like gross because it's not even a nice shade. It gets like darker and stuff. But I went with the carbon roof and then carbon synthetic Z's for the rims, as well as the splitter being carbon with some highlights. And I think the vehicle looks really good overall with balancing between dew yellow and black, because there's a lot of like black highlights everywhere, and I think all the little details count, you know, they all add up. Looks really cool. Up next we have the Vapid Riata. This one's a truck, a little more industrial looking, but it's also pretty clean. As you can see, the secondary color in this vehicle is placed super well, so I thought it served as like a nice two-tone. And I think when vehicles aren't too aggressive in their like base look, like the Riata is pretty smooth in the front here, you can go with something a little sleeker, like a yellow and black two-tone. I don't think I could pull this sort of build off on like a military spec Hummer or something. But on the Riata, it's fairly simplistic for a truck. It's almost more cutesy because it's a very compact vehicle. It's not all that large. Okay, well, I can't observe because there's a big vehicle behind me, but. And then for the rims, I think these are the mil-spec Steelies, and I blacked those out to match with the two-tone. It's overall just got, it's black and yellow. It looks good. And then wrapping us up on floor 2 is the Canis Camacho, which is one of the best off-roaders in the game. Very heavy, bulky vehicle. Went with the black and yellow because it just looks so good. There's like, what other color combo am I going to do with yellow? Honestly, I kind of feel bad for always defaulting to this, but it looks really good, and you can't deny that. On it, we have just the standard yellow with the yellow pearlescent. I don't think I changed that. Or if anything, it's possible that it's like a little brown, but I think it is just the yellow pearlescent. And then I went with my favorite off-road rims, which are the Cairngorms. This is built to be like my racing Camacho, so I threw in some racing tires, which I might take off because I don't think it looks that good anyway. But overall, the Camacho's, it's really good looking. I think it pulls off the yellow and black build because there's so many like black highlights everywhere on the car, and it's just overall a pretty nice looking vehicle. This is how the Jeep Gladiator should look. If any of you guys have seen the Jeep Gladiator in real life, it's so ugly, but this is sort of like a Jeep-ish looking truck, and I think it looks beautiful. I don't know why the Jeep Gladiator looks so ugly, but it does. It's just wrong. It like violates my eyes. But anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for floor 2. If I had to pick some favorites, definitely the Coquette D10. This one is so cool. I don't think I have any builds in the entire game with so much depth to it, so much like intent, and all the pieces are working well together, so it would definitely be this one. And then for a runner-up, as happy as I am with these two, the customization was fairly simple. I would probably go with this one because I just have never seen another Vector like it, and I think the Vector is a really cool vehicle. It's got a lot of features that a lot of other cars don't have, and I think it captures the Lexus essence very well. Anyway, let's move on to our third and final floor. Starting us off on floor 3, we have the Canis Seminole Frontier. Unfortunately, it is not the standard Canis Seminole, the most powerful vehicle in all of GTA Online, because I was afraid it wouldn't have enough customization, and I don't think Seminoles look all that great in yellow. I think, I don't know, it's sort of like it's a more red vehicle. That's how I imagine it. It's like red or black or silver, just not yellow. But the Seminole Frontier definitely seems like a little more like Wild Westy kind of vibes, maybe like Jurassic Park or something. You could see him whipping a Frontier. And it has a lot of accenting with the secondary color being black. So that's what I went with. I went with a matte black secondary color, a yellow primary, and an ice white pearlescent, because you can never go wrong with those. It's very polished, very clean looking for an off-road vehicle, but there's no rule saying that you can't have polished off-roaders. I just think that like the tires are very aggressive looking, very there's a lot going on with them, and the build is a lot sleeker. I went with lightweight mil-spec Steelies, I think is the name of these. It's a really cool looking rim. I actually have only seen these a couple times, and I've never found a way to make them work, so I'm happy it worked on this. If there was an option to change all like the black features to secondary or carbon, I would definitely do that so it matches up a little better with the secondary fender tracing, I guess you could say. Like there's the actual fender, then there's the black, and then there's the yellow, and it's like sandwiched in between. Looks a little awkward, but I like the shape and how it was placed nonetheless, so we went with it anyway. Cool looking vehicle. Can't say I have a ton of experience driving it, but I like that Rockstar kind of knows what this vehicle is and gave it good customization options to sort of suit that vibe. Up next, we have the Grotti Stinger in a race yellow with a standard race yellow pearlescent, and then I went with muscle rims in ice white. These are the Krakas. This one is very Eastery. I think that the Grotti Stinger is like it's a very like sleek looking vehicle. There's just not a whole lot of things going on. It's very smooth and it's got some subtle curves. So that's why I went with the white rims as opposed to blacking them out and making it more aggressive. I just thought it needed something like a little softer, and I wanted to keep the tire thickness a little thick, so that's why I went with muscle rims as opposed to like thinner looking rims that you would put on like a sports or supercar. Not a whole lot of customization on this thing, but it is a really good looking vehicle. I would throw this in the same category as like the Mamba, where they're just really good looking, classy vehicles. And the customization I think is like okay, there's not a whole lot of personalization to it, but the Stinger is just a beautiful looking car. Up next we have the Grotti Cheetah, another OG vehicle. The Cheetah, sort of like the Turismo, is a vehicle that everyone likes, that we think looks cool. It's just not that fast and no one drives it anymore. It's very outdated in terms of its performance, but it is really good looking. So here I have a bright orange with sort of like a rolled steel pearlescent. I think it's something darker for sure. And then it's got carbon accenting all over the vehicle wherever I could fit it on. The carbon hood as well, similar to the Nero. I like how it's shaped, comes to the front in sort of like a triangular shape. And then the rims, I went with cheetah carbonized with a bright orange highlight. Really good looking vehicle, black and yellow two-tone. It's just, it would be nice if they could almost like take this vehicle and re-add it into the game at like a higher price, little more customization, and then retuned its performance. I think a lot of people would be willing to pay for that. So super awesome vehicle. I really like the double spoiler, very uniquely shaped and fits on the car super nicely. Up next we have the Lampadati 5000. I think it's a really underrated vehicle, if I'm gonna be honest. When I first saw it, I didn't think all that much of it. I didn't think it looked all that great or anything. It's very wide. I think that's why. It's not super curvy or anything either. The side is kind of like, it's just flat. It's like, it doesn't have any like extreme shapes or anything to it, but I think the features of this car are put so nicely together. Like the lights are like the perfect size, and then it's got those little vents that are triangular below the headlights, and then it's got this grille that's not too big, not too overbearing, but serves its purpose. The bars are spaced really nicely. They're not like too close together or anything. And then the splitter, I like the splitter option because I'm just a big fan of like the pointier ones. I think it adds more personality to the vehicle. For this hood option, it's like a triple vented one. I thought it was a good way of adding some detail onto the hood since it's so big. I thought it needed some like subtle extra details, and this is one that didn't like, it doesn't take away too much from the look, you know. I think it just adds some needed detail, because otherwise the smooth hood is just like, it was too empty. There wasn't enough going on with the car. I went with kind of like a carbon surrounding with the splitter and the skirts. Unfortunately there was none in the rear, but it's got like this sort of carbon built into it already. The mirrors are carbon as well. And then finally we threw on this like add-on splitter. Pretty aggressive looking wing, but I liked how it was both black and yellow. I think the car needs like both on the back end in order to maximize its potential, I guess you could say, because the carbon version I did try out when I was customizing it, and it just didn't look nearly as good. I think it's a little more like playful to add that. I thought this vehicle would look really good in a dew yellow because it's sort of like a more fun, unique color, and 5000 is just like I translated it, I don't speak Spanish, but I translated it and it translated to 5,000. So like, I don't know what that's like supposed to mean or if it has any meaning, but 5000 is just like it's just like a fun word to say, I guess. And so I thought the name was like, the name and the colors sort of like fit each other. I don't know, I guess it's just like a fun race car, because it's definitely got more of like a race build with that splitter and the spoiler on the back, and it's like pretty aggressive looking, but it's just like, it's just a fun vehicle. I just really like the look of this car. Up next we have the Pfister Neon in a yellow with an ice white pearlescent, because it's super sleek looking. I didn't want it to overshadow the black. Usually that's what I go with when I have yellow and like a black kind of stripe or like some black accenting on the car. I don't want it to get interrupted by a colored pearlescent, so I'll neutralize it by going for something a lot lighter like a white or a silver This one might actually be cream, but it blends into the car really nicely. The Neon is a really good looking vehicle. I was raving about it when I first heard that it got announced. And then I found out it was an electric vehicle and I was so disappointed. I really don't like electric vehicles in GTA, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a really good looking car, especially from the back end. Oh my god. Definitely it captures the Porsche essence. The secondary color is a matte black, and then I went with secondary options all around instead of carbon for the splitter and the skirts, as well as the spoiler on the back. The spoilers are a little funky on this one, to be honest, and I feel like it needs a spoiler because the back end just like, it just drops off. There's no little lip like how you can see on the Cinco Milo over there. It just drops off, and so I feel like it needs something to balance out its shape to keep it more triangular and sporty looking, because it is like a sports car. And then for the rims, I went with anthracite black Super Luxes, and the car just looks really good. I wish we had a few more shades of yellow, because I think Porsches tend to be a lot sleeker, and while the black and yellow is really sleek, yellow is kind of just like a bolder, brighter, more aggressive looking color, and this car is just not as aggressive looking. So I would probably like to tame the color a little bit with a different yellow, but unfortunately we don't have that. So there's literally like 3 actual yellows in the game. We have yellow, do yellow, and race yellow. But that's okay, we make do, and yellow is still just a really nice color. Up next, we have the Bravado Buffalo STX. Really great looking vehicle. This is my third one actually, because the first one I lost in a customization battle, which is very tragic because I thought it looks really cool being like black and orange and stuff. I went with the Ragga Rum livery, so it was like split in half, where the front side was orange and the back side was black. But this one I wanted to keep a lot simpler, and then the second one I went with was just gray, and it was really boring. But I think muscle cars can pull off brighter colors, so learning from my mistakes from the first two, I decided to go with the yellow in this one, with a lot of black accenting everywhere. There's carbon mirrors, it's got these like random little details, carbon splitter. I did go with the matte black secondary, and that's what's trimming the front section here, as well as the skirts. A lot of black in the back as well, with the louvers, the fin, and the rear panel where the headlights and like trunk are kind of placed. And then the exhaust, of course, is the coolest part. It's so bright. It's blue and purple. It looks absolutely amazing. I really like the way the louvers look in this car. I don't know why. It almost makes it more like futuristic. Like this is, I don't know. It just looks so good on the Charger. I've never been a huge Charger fan. I guess I don't really like the way the front looks. It's just very like, it looks like an angry Oompa Loompa. But the back end is really sleek looking, and that's the part you look at when you're driving, so I guess it's a good thing. And then for the rims, I blacked out some Hype 5s, and I think 5-spoke rims obviously are going to look good on muscle cars. The only gripe I have with this vehicle is I wish the seats were sort of like the two-tone ones that were surrounded by black. I think that would look way too cool, but unfortunately we get these like stock standard racing seats. I did change the seat option. Maybe, oh my god, it would be such a cool looking vehicle. It still is, don't get me wrong. I just think it's just like, it's like 90% of the way there, you know, and I want it to be at that 100. The very last vehicle on our list is the Benefactor. Once again, a yellow and black color combination. I think it looks super cool. I was actually picturing this vehicle in white when I initially got it, because I think it's just a very clean looking car. I think vehicles that are like open like this and they have these sort of, I don't know what you call these, like aerodynamic, like futuristic head pieces in the back, they always are like in white, and I think they'd look good in more monochrome builds. I saw the livery. This one is kind of like a Bane mask almost. It looks super sick, and I think it matches well because these headlights, not only do they get a bit of color in them, which is super cool, aggressive looking, they're like owl eyes, you know, they're staring you down with that mask on. I think the vehicle looks super cool overall. And then of course, because this is a Mercedes, I wanted some like outstretched, classy looking rims, so I went with the High 5s, I think is what they're called. I think this one's High 5 and this one's Hype 5. But overall, the vehicle looks super good. For the splitter, I went with some primary accented one. I think it looks really good because it adds that one like yellow line that the livery has on the sides. And then for the rear, I wasn't a huge fan of the spoilers. I could have gone with like a primary one, but I think the rear needed a little more black, so I went with just like a black little indented spoiler, and you know, it is what it is. I like how the colors are placed in this car. I don't feel like there's any really open space aside from the back that has too much like yellow where there's no, you know, additional colors, but I think that got fixed when we added the spoiler. And then for the interior, I just kept it black so that the car felt like it had some depth to it. If I had to pick some favorites on this floor, I think the Cinco Mila is like, I don't know why, like it's so much. I just really do. Great looking vehicle, really underrated. I think I appreciate it because it's underrated. And then I would have these two being runner-ups because I've literally never seen anyone drive this vehicle, and it's also kind of like out of the box. I also, similar to the D10, it's got that like, I guess more aggressive tiger-ish look to it. Something with the livery having those thin black stripes with a little bit of the primary running through them. Looks absolutely amazing. And then for the Charger, it's just split really well between the yellow and black. Makes it really good looking. It's like an updated, sporty looking Charger, and I'm a fan of that. But that's going to wrap it up for the yellow themed garage tour. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below and let me know what color you guys would like to see next, or if you have any other additional theme ideas. Also, let me know what your favorite car from this garage was. Sub to the channel if y'all are new. There will be more videos like this coming out in the very near future. And that's about it. So take care, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace!